Radar has an emergency function that should alert him of the impending danger. Short-term conflict alert, or STCA.
Short-term conflict alert is another system like, it's similar to TCAS, just a ground-based system that helps us on the radar if we miss a conflict. If we don't see it in time, it will give us an alarm.
2 minutes prior to a potential collision, an STCA alert should flash on both of Peter Nielsen's radar screens, along with an audio warning. This is exactly what happens 180 kilometers away in Karlsruhe, Germany.
Die Flugsicherung in Karlsruhe.
Air traffic control in Karlsruhe had detected on their radar screen that 2 aircraft were getting closer than they should have been.
Als es eigentlich sein sollte.
Records reveal that the controller in Karlsruhe tries to call Nielsen to warn him. But Zurich's faulty backup phone system means he can't get through. Aviation rules say he isn't allowed to contact planes not in his sector unless the controller in charge has lost consciousness or has left his post. The Karlsruhe ATC decides to stick to protocol and tries calling Nielsen 11 times in total, but he never gets through.
BTC 2937.
Records show that Nielsen's visual STCA did not go off. Royce learns that Zurich's radar was also under maintenance, meaning it too was in backup mode.
Durch die geplanten Arbeiten an dem
The planned maintenance work on the radar system meant that not all the functions present during normal operations were actually available.
In backup mode, there is one particular emergency feature which Nielsen does not have. The visual STCA alarm. It's the final piece of the puzzle to explain why Nielsen didn't order the Russian plane to descend until a mere 43 seconds before collision.
Die Untersuchung hat für uns gezeigt, dass
The investigation showed us that a series of unlucky events all came together for air traffic control.
zusammengekommen sind.
Had Nielsen heard the STCA alarm before the plane's onboard TCAS systems kicked into action, there would have been no conflict and the accident would have been avoided. But then, one final twist. 19 seconds before collision, Peter Nielsen tells the Russian pilots that the DHL plane is approaching from their right-hand side.
We have traffic at your 2 o'clock position, now at 360. Where is it?
It is actually approaching from the left, the 10 o'clock position. The only explanation investigators can find for this mistake is stress. It's uncertain if the Russian pilots would have had time to pull up and avoid collision, even if they had spotted the DHL plane earlier. But the records show that in the final seconds, they tried. Upon impact, the Bashkirian charter breaks into 4 pieces. Without its tail fin, the DHL cargo plane spins uncontrollably to the ground. February 21st, 2004. As investigators write up their final report, Vitaly Kaloyev flies to Zurich. He's become obsessed with finding somebody to blame for the death of his wife and children.
I wanted to hear them say, we are responsible, but forgive us if possible. They killed so many children and nothing had happened. No apologies, no expressions of sorrow, nothing.
Nielsen still worked at Skyguide, but was moving into areas of safety analysis. Kaloyev found where he lived.
I went to see the controller. I knew he had been on duty that night. All this had to be brought to an end. Everything had to be closed. I didn't want to wait any longer and decided to finish this myself. Nielsen came out. He was taller than me. I showed him the photos of my children lying in their coffins. He pushed my hand away. Then he got what he deserved. You know, some say it was revenge, but revenge is something insignificant. One is avenging when one has been deeply insulted, but this was not revenge. This was punishment.
In Switzerland, a man has been arrested in connection with the killing of an air traffic controller who'd been on duty when two planes collided 2 years ago.
Hunted down and stabbed to death in front of his family. Murdered for a fatal mistake.
Peter Nielsen was 36 years old. He and his wife had 3 children. After his arrest, Vitaly Kaloyev is held in a psychiatric institution, while the court decides whether he's mentally fit to stand trial. Kaloyev is convicted of premeditated killing and sentenced to 8 years in a Swiss prison. In November 2007, he's released after an appeal determines that he had acted with diminished responsibility because of the deaths of his wife and 2 children. Vitaly Kaloyev is unrepentant about his actions. In May 2004, after almost 2 years of painstaking work, the German investigative team publish their final report. It's now possible to rewind the events of that fatal day, following the evidence uncovered during the investigation. July 1st, 2002. 8:48 p.m. 2 hours, 47 minutes from disaster. A Bashkirian Airlines charter takes off from Moscow's Domodedovo airport. 20 minutes from disaster. At the Zurich Area Control Center, 2 air traffic controllers are on duty. One goes on a break. Peter Nielsen is now working alone. 12 minutes, 33 seconds from disaster. A DHL cargo plane enters Nielsen's airspace and requests permission to climb to 36,000 feet. 9 minutes, 49 seconds from disaster. A delayed Airbus is coming in to land at Friedrichshafen Airport. Nielsen tries to call the airport to hand over the flight. But his phone system is in backup mode due to maintenance, and the backup system has a fault. 5 minutes, 21 seconds from disaster. The Bashkirian charter radios Nielsen. It's flying at 36,000 feet and is about to enter his airspace.
Good evening, BTC 2937.
2 minutes from disaster. The Bashkirian and DHL planes are now at the same altitude, less than 44 kilometers apart, closing in on each other faster than the speed of sound. The Short-Term Conflict Alert, or STCA, should now warn Nielsen of the impending collision. But his radar is also in backup mode, so the STCA is not fully functioning. 43 seconds from disaster. Nielsen finally notices that the two planes are on a collision course. He immediately tells the Russian pilots to descend.
Descent flight level 350.
Seconds later, TCAS goes off in both planes. It tells the DHL pilots to descend.
Descend, descend.
And the Russian crew to climb.
Climb.
He's guiding us down.
Nielsen is unaware that both planes have been issued advisories. He repeats his instructions to the Russian pilots.
Descent flight level 3.
Russian guidelines allow pilots to make their own decisions in such conflict situations. Here, they follow Nielsen's command. Both planes are now in descent. 19 seconds from disaster. Nielsen believes the conflict is resolved. But before signing off, he tells the Russian crew that the DHL plane is approaching from the right. In fact, it's approaching from the left. 3 seconds from disaster. The Russian crew have spotted the DHL plane. They pull up, but it's too late.
Descend hard, descend!
At 11:35 p.m., the planes collide 35,000 feet above the city of Überlingen, Germany. All 71 people on board the two planes die. The German investigative report concluded that Peter Nielsen and the Russian pilots had made serious mistakes. But the primary cause of the accident was negligence on the part of Skyguide. In May 2004, immediately after the BFU report is published, at a press conference in Zurich, the CEO of Skyguide, Alain Rossier, issues a formal apology.
Es sind auch bei uns Fehler gemacht worden und wir
We too have made mistakes, and we most deeply regret this. We take responsibility, as outlined in the German investigation report. And we ask the families of the victims for forgiveness.
In September 2007, a Swiss court finds 4 Skyguide employees guilty of negligent homicide. 3 managers who tolerated the single controller policy are given 1-year suspended jail sentences. The project leader overseeing the maintenance work on the night of the collision is fined 13,500 Swiss francs, roughly $11,000. Following recommendations from the German investigative team, Skyguide implements a variety of procedural changes. They now ensure there are always 2 controllers on duty, even during the quiet night shift. Nobody will ever find themselves in Peter Nielsen's position again. Investigators also recommend that international and regional TCAS regulations be standardized, along with aircraft operations manuals. TCAS must have ultimate priority over air traffic control.
One cannot say with 100% certainty that this kind of event will never happen again. But we are very confident that we were able to make a significant contribution to preventing the repetition of an event like this.
Don't miss extreme angling in brand new Wicked Tuna, continuing on Sunday nights at 9.